So last week we had a big discussion across multiple days about should progressives just now at this point work to kill the spending and infrastructure bill that's been completely gutted. I gave you a list last week of 5, 6 major pieces of the proposals that had been floating around that are believed to be completely dead in the water. And I said, at this point, I'm okay with progressives saying kill it. I often say if it does some good, then it should be supported because it's a step in the right direction. It will help some people, and any opportunity to help people should be taken. I started to go in the direction last week of there's so little here that this will serve as a victory for centrist Democrats by saying we don't have to do anything progressives want. It will serve as a victory for Republicans for saying the more we obstruct, the less they're going to get, even if we're not in control. And it's nothing for progressives. We've got a voicemail related to killing the bill, which I'm going to play for you in a little bit. One bit of news is that Bernie Sanders has not given up. Senator Bernie Sanders appeared on CNN yesterday and made it very clear that he's still pushing at least to get lower drug prices into the bill. Now, if he was able to do that, is lower drug prices, price controls on medications and prescriptions, would that be enough to say, well, okay, just for that alone, progressives should support it? We'll get to that in a second. Let's first listen to some of this interview he gave.
You have said there are major gaps in this plan. Several of your priorities, paid leave, dental and vision for Medicare, giving the government power to negotiate lower prescription drug prices for seniors, that's not in the deal. You saw that House progressives endorsed the compromise. Do you?
Well, it's not in the bill yet, but what I can tell you, Dana, we are working right now. I spent all of yesterday on the telephone. Look, we are paying the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. The pharmaceutical industry has spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to make certain that Americans pay 10 times more for some drugs than the Canadians or the Mexicans do. True. That fight continues. And the fight to expand Medicare. Look, poll after poll shows that the American people understand it is not acceptable that elderly people have teeth in their mouth that are rotting. They can't digest their food. They don't have the vision that they need in order to read a newspaper. So we are continuing that effort.
So
it pains me very much. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to just make sure that I understand what you're saying. You're saying you're continuing that effort. You want to still add it before the House votes? You want to add it to the bill that the House...
Absolutely. Look, we're working, as everybody should know, we're on 2 separate bills. You got a bipartisan infrastructure bill, which will finally begin to address the reality that our roads and our bridges and our water systems are crumbling. That's one bill. But we want to move both bills in tandem. And the second bill, the bill that deals with the needs of the working class of this country in terms of childcare, in terms of pre-K, that deals with the existential threat of climate, that bill is still being worked on literally today. It will be worked on tomorrow. I believe we're making some progress in making it even stronger than it is.
If you don't succeed in that progress, will you support the framework as it currently stands?
Good question.
What the White House released at the end of the week?
Well, all I will tell you is we have a very, very strong bill. And it deals with the fact that we are going to start paying attention to the needs of working parents, continue that $300. We're going to build affordable housing. We're going to make sure that elderly people and people with disabilities can stay at home rather than be forced into a
Bernie
nurse.
goes into talk, these are talking points that we've heard before. But so the fundamental question ultimately gets to, let's say Bernie and other Democrats get lower prescription drug price provisions into the bill, then should progressives support it? In my mind, that actually would be enough to say support the bill. And it wouldn't change the fact that it would still be missing and lacking so many things that were talked about early. A tax that between these two bills, tax that targets the very, very richest billionaires, paid leave, child care, there's so Medicare expansion, so many things that I am in favor of and that are good and that are necessary and that should be in there. All of those things would still be gone. But the degree to which the American people are getting screwed when it comes to prescription drug costs, and it's so popular to talk about lowering prescription drug costs, both Democrats and Republicans talk about it all the time. Trump talked about it. He didn't do it. But the mechanisms through which they would do it, of course, differ. There's no question about that. it actually would be so materially useful to so many people, particularly seniors, the way that Bernie Sanders is talking about, because of how Medicare works. That, again, I'm talking pragmatically. I know the optics are terrible, but that is so good for so many people that I would probably say, don't kill the bill. Get the bill done if that's in there. Now, how likely that is to happen and how much of this is Bernie either posturing or trying to put public pressure on colleagues and other, we just don't know. These negotiations are happening constantly between different parties. And this is why my coverage of this has basically been, listen, the entire process is a grandstanding quagmire. There's a lot of this that is just the worst of politics and worst of the DC Beltway. It doesn't relate to people who are just trying to afford gas, trying to afford food, trying to afford medication. It doesn't connect. It's so abstract and idealized in some way by those who think, oh, big negotiate. It's a lot of BS that's going on, and I get all of that. But if there's really going to be something actually done, and if you trust Bernie, if you're a Bernie supporter, if you believe Bernie does the right things or tries to, then you would imagine that if he gets that into the bill, it's going to be materially substantive. I think I'm probably back on and say, just pass it and get it done. And then let's move on and try to do more and do the next iteration. If you disagree with me on the value of prescription drug price controls as reason alone to support the bill, I want to hear from you. Reasonable people can disagree, but it seems like an important thing to me.